I'm gonna start recording just so we have that timing that the teacher wants. And then Wesley said that he can join us this morning as well, a little bit later, I think.
Hmm.
Yep, yes, I can just join in a little bit. So you have a good week. I feel like it was yesterday.
I know, right? It was
Yeah.
good. Busy
Uh,
though.
yeah, I'm like, I don't even know where my week went. So,
Yeah.
um, but did you do any camping this weekend?
No, that's this Thursday. So
That's Thursday. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, that's right, because we wanted to get our meeting in before. Okay, so I was just peeking over this week's information, trying to play catch up.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
lost everything.
Hello.
Here we go. Hey, you
Hey.
made it. That's great.
Yes.
I know, I was just telling her, like, today's just a fun day for me. We slept in. I wasn't feeling very good. Kids aren't even at school yet. Waking them up, like just trying to get things going. So, and then my little timer went off. Reminder meeting. I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm glad we could all make it today. So I was just looking over this week's uh modules. Let's see.
Mhm.
Was opening up Healing McGraw's stuff as well. Um, so this week we have our group discussion. We're on prejudice is our week's topic. We have our meeting. We do have our research evaluation and then just our written responses. So other than the research evaluation, it's pretty normal week. But like on the research article, I think it's pretty much just like the last one that we did. It says to evaluate a research article that reports the results of an experimental concerning a concept of your choice from the current lesson. So it's going to be uh, around prejudice. And well, I guess it says examines from 4, 6, 7, or 8. So that opens that up a little bit more. Do you guys have any problems with doing the research from the last time?
No, I already did this week's yesterday.
I know you're like, I'm on it. I got to get it all done so I can go have fun this week. She's
Yeah.
going camping this weekend.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'd imagine it's getting kind of chilly there.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to get down to like 15 degrees while I'm gone. And I'm like, oh, lovely.
Are
Builds
you,
character.
yeah, are you
What?
camping? He says it builds character.
Oh yeah, it does.
Are you camping there in Idaho?
Yeah, I think it's like an hour away from Rexburg.
Sounds fun. Just as long as you
Mhm.
got a really nice warm sleeping bag.
I know, I'm gonna go rent them, so they should have warm ones. Like it's here in Rexburg. They know it gets cold.
Yeah, I get like the net rated -40.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So, and those keep you warm. So, all
Hmm.
right. Well, let's see. Kaylee, you want to be our leader for today?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Did you guys do written responses yet?
I just kind of looked over them and so I have some answers on some and um that's where I'm at.
No, I
That's
did
fair.
not. My bad.
That's totally fair. I mean, the only reason I'm ahead on it is because I have to get stuff done before Thursday. But let's
I
see.
can
Let me
always
pull them
Google
up.
stuff.
Exactly. Let's see. Where's
Mm.
my?
And I do
I
have
just pulled.
the McGraw manual should be open here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I also have the PowerPoint.
You have a
Hmm.
PowerPoint?
Yeah, of
Where'd you
this week.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, they do have those.
I
Sometimes
just
I forget to
discovered
take
this,
them.
which I think it was there the whole time. Woohoo.
where's that at?
If you just click on, where am I? Who am I? Let's go. Go back. Go back. My phone was freaking out. One sec.
I remember seeing one week, but I didn't know that that was, is that,
Yeah. It is on week. It's also on this week. Then it's on uh, prac. It's on the practice quiz chapter 9,
mm,
and it just like PowerPoint slides.
Huh. Yeah, no, like I definitely used those at one point, and then like every once in a while I forget. That's nice.
okay, I'm
Yes,
gonna try to figure,
ma'am.
you said that's on week 9?
Week. No, this week, week 8, which is wow, it's week 8. That's weird. It's on. It's about chapter 9. So
Okay. Is that underneath our modules?
yes,
Hmm.
funny pushes.
Is it
Racial.
just like when you click on the practice quiz that's like
Yeah.
part of it? Okay.
Oh, PowerPoint. Okay. I do remember seeing that. Okay, I'll open that up as well.
Okay. I got all the questions if we want to talk about
Yep.
those.
Yeah.
Okay. Does someone want to define and provide examples of racial prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination?
Hmm.
Yeah, let me find the um
So so basically give examples of prejudice and stereotypes and
Yeah.
yeah.
discrimination.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that probably. Um, I'll see.
That's
So prejudice is a preconceived negative judgment of a group and its individual members. So I mean, it could be like anyone. It doesn't have to be like a racial thing where it's like you see like a group of like 13-year-old people and you're like, wow, they're probably just the worst.
That's a good one.
Um, and then stereotypes. Um, I think maybe I have stereotypes like people who live in Utah. It's like they're
Yeah.
just they're just the worst. Or no, just kidding, but no, like no, or they're just like they're self-righteous. I guess that's a stereotype I have in my head. They're like
Yeah, yeah.
beliefs about the personal attributes of a group of people, which is funny because I used to live in Utah, so it's like, I mean, yeah, but so just like a group of people. So it's like, well, everyone I know from Utah is kind of stuck up, and it's like, well, that's not very fair. And then discrimination, unjustified negative behavior towards a group or its members. Um, I mean, the most like obvious one would be like if you were like there's another person of a different race or something, and you're like, you're not welcome here. Get out of
Mm.
here.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet. That's a good one. Um,
I'm not racist, I swear.
I don't know, you just talk about it enough that you know what racist people do though. Um, let's see. All right. I guess we could move on to question two. Um, let's see. Summarize the research on racial attitudes in the US from the 1940s to current times. So I didn't actually like look at specific like research studies, so I'm not really sure how those differ.
Mhm.
Did anyone else do that question?
I Googled it.
That's a good way to do it.
So that one says research from the 1940s shows high levels of overt racial prejudice in the US, especially in institutional settings. So over time, attitudes towards racial equality have improved with legal progress and civil rights movements, although implicit biases and systematic inequalities remain. Contemporary research shows both advances in racial equality and persistent subtle biases. And in my own opinion on this, like we understand that there were a lot of racial attitudes in the earlier century because of um, just like slavery and equality, like women's rights and all sort of stuff on that. And while that's improved in that area, I really feel like it's within the last 10 years that it's been made even more prevalent. And I think racial attitudes have increased because of our ability to receive information via internet and
Mm.
it's caused as we look at like last week how we have groupthink. Groupthink can be just even groups of people that form on the internet, and I think that it's caused these people to come together collectively, which I think causes more racial attitudes. So it's like when I grew up, I never had any problems with any races. And I've had this conversation with friends before. And it's like they're people just like we are, no matter what color, race, gender, whatever. But it just seems like even more so in our society that we see a lot more. I don't know. That's my opinion.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I never really had a problem with that. Like, I'm like, oh, they're my friends. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, I totally agree with that.
Mhm. I agree. Also, it's just yeah, I think it's talked about so much more these days too, and you're like, it's like, are we going backwards? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird how that works. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's see. Any other inputs for that one?
no, no, not for me.
Okay, sweet. Question three, provide an example of hostile sexism and an example of benevolent sexism. I can do that one. But basically hostile sexism is like an example of that could be like voting against a female president because women can't be political leaders. So that's an example of that one. And then an example of benevolent sexism is not hiring a woman into a male dominated field because she's safer working somewhere else. So like the intentions might be different, but both of those kind of impede equality between the two.
Mhm.
I don't know. Those are the examples I found, and I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Um, that's pretty much all I got for that one. But let's see.
Like, have you guys ever felt like that, or like sexism and stuff as females? Like, I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like it's a lot sketchier for me to walk alone somewhere at night than for like guys.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like,
Um,
I don't know.
how can I put this? Like, I think when it comes to work environment that I don't know, like feminism to me, like I could have like in that time where we didn't have a lot of rights and the inequalities, yeah, I totally would have been picketing out there on the line with stuff like that. But as an adult now today, like there's different abilities that men and women have, and so it's like this sexism, I guess you can say, within the work field. Like I was a hairstylist for 20 some years, and I get better tips when I'm wearing makeup and I'm flirty and socializing, and I work it. I'm sorry, guys just don't have that when in the beautician field. And so it's like I don't know. I think it's just kind of silly in some cases. So I'd have to go
Mhm.
back and kind of read a little bit about that. But um, I was a receptionist there for a while, and you know, y y there I have seen it in the work environment. It, it's definitely I was watching a show the other day that brought up like how some lady was hit on in our current culture today, and they were taking the guy to court because she stopped going to work and all that stuff, and it related it back to like back in an older time where this lady in legal stuff, like they just had to deal with it, they had to put up with it. So it's
Mm.
there's definitely been a change in our culture as we've tried to gain equality rights, which I think is important. So it's there, it's definitely in there, but I think that we're the the differences is, back where our culture was that, men were predominantly in the business field, woman's opinions weren't really like, but that's just in the last 200 years. You look back in like century stuff, that's not the way it was, I don't think. you know um I don't know if you've studied too much about other cultures since like not centuries but like thousands of years ago. Women were pretty powerful.
Mm.
Women kind of ran the country in some instances. You talk about like Chinese culture and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
No, yeah, but that it does seem like it was a lot more just like recent, not like right now, but like more recent than some of the super ancient stuff.
yeah, I think, you look at Europe and it was queens that were running countries. And if you really go in and study some of that, like, okay, so my daughters and I like to watch a lot of like Korean dramas, and
Mm.
really the power behind everything, like that instigates it, it's the women. They're in control. They never say it because we're just really good about that. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll go on.
No,
All right.
I
What?
think a lot of this just depends on like individual people, at least in America, where it's like there's guys that are like really sexist. There's guys that are like that, but I feel like they're
Hmm.
more rare than it seems to me. At least I maybe I'm wrong, but like it just seems like it's more rare these days than before.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I think it's part of it's just like with the media, it's easier to access those opinions. So they seem more common than they really are. It's like the whole like plane crashes thing. You think they happen more than they really do.
yeah,
Well, and I think too, just adding on that conversation is we within the gospel, we truly understand that a husband and a wife is meant to be equally yoked, and we have our strengths and our weaknesses, and it's because we come together that we build this unity. And so we recognize that there's importance in each other's skills. And like, I think, was it President Hinckley? It's like behind every successful man is a like a really successful wife or something. The quotes
yeah,
like that they recognize like I cannot be the person I am without my other person, and that's vice versa for both sexes. And so it's more of an appreciation and gratitude for the differences that help each other to grow and develop. And outside that Christian culture, then I think maybe you do see a lot more of the sexism, the so
yeah. It just all depends, really. Yeah,
it's
it's
certainly
not.
interesting.
Yeah, I just think it's not like black and white, but it's definitely yeah, it's interesting.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, let's see. Um, do we want to move to the next question?
Yeah.
Question, how much time are we at? Like, we don't have to go through all the questions, but like,
Let me see. I have recording. It usually tells me up at the top. Mm, it just says we're in 40 minutes and we started, it's like 10, 20, maybe like 15 more minutes.
okay, okay. Um, let's see. Oh, this one's an interesting one. Okay. Gordon Allport stated, the role of religion is paradoxical. It makes prejudice and it unmakes prejudice. Um, Explain the research that indicates this is true. I don't
Hmm.
know if we have an answer for this one or not, but
Let me look
I'm
at the slideshow.
trying to find what page that's on. Look that up so I can pull from the book. Allport. Hmm.
Um, I can read some of it. It's just from the PowerPoint.
oh yeah, totally.
Religion is often invoked to sanctify the present order, including racial prejudice. The use of religion to support injustice helps explain a pair of findings concerning North American Christians. Why church members express more racial prejudice than non-members. Those professing fundamental beliefs express more prejudice than those professing progressive beliefs. Um, Correlation does not mean causation. There may be no casual connection between religion and prejudice. Perhaps prejudice causes religion. Perhaps religion causes prejudice. Other findings refute religion as cause of prejudice. Faithful attenders are less prejudiced. Intrinsically religious are less prejudiced. Clergy are less prejudiced. I just confusing as crap because it's like you are prejudiced. Just kidding. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, that one was confusing.
So, what I found is that his research suggested that being part of like a religious group um, can influence prejudice or bias um, than like out of groups. So, kind of what, and I was coming in here and I found it's on page 66 where it talks about Allport um, and like social inequalities. I want to see if there's another one. Okay, let's go back to here. So, as Gordon Allport concluded, the role of religion is paradoxical. That's what it makes prejudice and it unmakes prejudice. So, it says, what then is the relationship between religion and racial prejudice? The answer we get depends on how we ask the question. If we define religiousness as a church membership or willingness to agree, at least superficially, with traditional religious beliefs, then the more religious people have been more racially prejudiced. Um, it says bigots often rationalize bigotry with religion. I think like what I understand on that is it's kind of like that group thing, if you're within a group and everybody has the same kind of belief system or thought system, and you don't want to stand away from the crowd, or because of you've accepted, what they think that is, whether that's because it is through, oh, I'm trying to think of terminology, the one where because of so much information that they've given that it sounds logical that you come to believe it, or through prayer you believe it, um, that within our church culture, I'm not saying like within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but within the culture, sometimes I do think that there's some prejudice there. And I was actually talking to a friend last week at Christmas, because so we're out here in Ohio, and you know I lived in Utah for 6 years, Wesley, so I totally get the like Utah Mormon thing. And I have to sometimes stop myself because I'm like, yes, I lived in an area, I called it a very introverted ward because nobody really wanted to socialize. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we are, supposed to be a ward family. I grew up outside where you just cling to these members. They're what you have. It's what you, it's your family. And so being outside, it's like, I don't want to go back and live in Utah. Sure, I love the secondhand shopping because people can be really prideful there and it's the keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. But she was saying, out here where we have to come to, we're with socializing with a lot of different people, and that's at school. It's, we see, um, we see a lot more different races and religions. And I mean, like within a mile, there's 5 different churches between here and my kids' school. So my neighbors are different religions. And so because I am more involved in this area, that I'm more open-minded to those different um, groups, where I think when you're within just a religious group, if the mentality of that group is like anybody outside this religion is wrong and sinful and going to hell, it unfortunately there are churches out there that have those belief systems. And so if they're adopted by those people, then it causes that prejudice against anybody that's outside your group. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've come across anybody that's like that. I know my mother's side of the family, they're Southern Baptist. And
Mm.
so it's taken a long time to develop a relationship with them because, they're given a lot of anti Mormon literature. And so that's becomes the mentality and beliefs of their religion, because that's being taught and causes prejudice for anybody that's within the Mormon culture. Oh, we're all going to hell because we, believe in the Book of Mormon. And I
Mm.
think that's kind of what he was trying to explain there, is that it can cause prejudices within a group. I don't know what it would mean by unmaking prejudice, though.
Mm.
I guess some, like, I don't know, in religions they try to fight some prejudice. Like, I don't know, in the church we like we understand that people are like equal. Like we talk about, like, I don't know, we shouldn't be racist towards anyone.
Hmm.
So like maybe unmaking different kinds of prejudice while
Yeah, I like that.
influencing other types.
Yeah, I like that. So, and I guess paradoxal could mean like, if you're within that religion that's teaching this, but then it's teaching love your neighbor, it's kind of, I don't know if paradoxal would be similar to hypocrite,
Mm.
Mm.
but I can see that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
okay, we're running out of time. What's it say? We still have 10 minutes left. Okay.
Okay, okay. We probably won't finish all the questions, but
It's okay. That was a good discussion.
mhm. Um, do we just want to just keep going down the list?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Unless there's anything, Wesley, that he's okay with that.
I'm a-okay.
All right. Okay,
There's number
we're
10 is an interesting question, discrimination and self-fulfilling prophecy.
oh yeah, do we want to talk about that one?
Sure.
No, just kidding. Yes, 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 yes.
Let's see. Um, oh yeah, yeah, because the textbook had a study about this one. Um, here, let me like great. Okay, yeah, so they had white volunteers interview these applicants, well, participants, but they were applicants for a job or whatever, right? And some of them are black, some of them are white. But it was found that the interviewers like treated the black people differently. Like they would sit farther away, they would like stumble over their words more, and end the meeting sooner usually than with other white people. And so then what they did after that is they had all of the interviewers swap and become applicants, and then like the researcher people would go in and interview them, and they treated some of them the way they treated white people, and some of them the way they treated the black people. And the people who were treated like the black people were with like the distance and like stumbling over words and like less friendly, um, those people felt less confident in their abilities and like just like their performance kind of dropped and like I don't know. So like they expected so like basically how this ties into self-fulfilling prophecy is because they like expected less of black people, they like had this like attitude towards them. They expected less of them, so they treated them in a way that made them feel like they were less. So then they performed at a lower level than they could be.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's kind of like when we were learning about self-fulfilling prophecy, how it talked about like a teacher that, or at least this was the example I gave, that a teacher like sees a student and they're all dressed up and they look like that student that would be successful. So they automatically like that's their favorite. And even though the student really wasn't like an A student because the way that they treated them, it fulfilled that like expectation or that self-fulfilling prophecy that that student would be better. So that is really interesting how that was recorded in discrimination. So, and I kind of think like, and that's kind of the hardship with being judgmental or prejudice is, if you automatically have that expectation of a certain group or um then they do fulfill that and it becomes their own belief system of themselves. If this is what you're going to expect of me, then that's how I'm going to behave and perform. And we see that with relationships between parents and children as well. Like
Mm.
you tell your kid that they're not a good kid and that they're never get any good grades and they just focus on the negative. Well, the kid's going to be like, well, you're never going to expect anything better than what I am, so I'm just going to behave this way anyways.
But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Amen.
that's amen. Okay.
Okay. Um,
Was
let's
there any
see.
other one that you really liked that you want to go over, Kaylee?
Um, let me see. Mm, I'm honestly really good with any of them, but
Well, how about here's what is number 8 about reducing prejudice based on the author's discussion of the social sources of prejudice, explain at least 2 ways to reduce prejudice in America.
ooh, okay. I did not do that one.
Ooh, how can we, it's right on my thing, 70.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
how, how can we reduce prejudice? Social psychologists have been more successful in explaining prejudice than alleviating it. Um,
Sounds all right.
Obviously, he says, because the waters of prejudice are fed by many streams, no simple remedy exists. Nevertheless, we can now anticipate techniques for reducing. So it says, if unequal status breeds prejudice, we can seek to create cooperative, equal status relationships. If prejudice rationalizes discriminatory behavior, we can mandate non-discrimination. We see that in our society, trying to mandate non-discrimination. I don't think that's super successful. I think it
Mm-mm.
causes more. We can pull out those supports, for example, with media that model interracial harmony and acceptance of LGBT individuals. I mean, if social institutions support prejudice, we can pull out of those supports. I actually highly believe that one. I think the more that we highlight the differences and everything that it actually makes it even more worse. If bias and discrimination is perceived as acceptable, we can spread the word that inclusiveness and embracing diversity in the social norm. If outgroups seem more homogenous than they are, we can make efforts to personalize their members. If our automatic prejudices lead us to feel guilt, we can use that guilt to motivate ourselves to break the prejudice habit. Um,
I think one of the most dangerous things that humans can do in general is be a victim. You know, like, and like, so like when people are constantly go like, this is the problem. It could be any color. It's like people are like, oh wow, like I'm a victim, and then they stop kind of like it kind of like produces this emotion of other people need to change and I don't need to change, which
Mhm.
true in some aspects for sure. It's just like we don't have control over other people. So it's like when people are constantly being like, there's a whole bunch of racists everywhere. It's like, is that how's that beneficial to anyone? It's like why maybe I talk about why we shouldn't be racist or maybe not victimize people because it's just I don't know, there's so much aspects of it where it's like why do we talk so much about race if we're trying to not see race?
Well, so with having children and them being in school, here's my motherly opinion is like, they have Black Lives like Matters Month and LGBT Pride Month and all these things is that I really see how the adversary, one of his tools is causing division among groups. The more in we see that in the scriptures, that the more he's able to cause division by different beliefs and sources, then that's where the contention starts. And so the more that they have that in school, like my kids came home and they really they get harassed during those times for their beliefs. And it's like, if we remove those out of the school system, we're not going to talk about those, they had one where, oh, they talk about black slavery, and all that thing. And it focuses on just, that racial group at the time. And I tell my kids, you go back and you study history, guess who were the first slaves? White people. They were in the pyramids time, they went up and they found these really beautiful white people up in the, higher European places, and those were among some of the first slaves. We never talk about that. It's within culture. So I really love, like, that we need to eliminate highlighting some of these things and come together more as people. And one of the biggest, I think, so within our society where legal systems like those organizations, remove them. Um, Stop highlighting and promoting the news that causes more division among people, because that's what it's doing, and find the unity within it. And it didn't really say it in there, but I think a really big portion of it is teaching, is just teaching your children and teaching groups and being involved in your community to support uh, unity. I think those would be my ways of reducing prejudice within
No,
our
that makes sense. I like
society.
that.
So it definitely is interesting.